Cricket World Cup has begun with co-hosts Australia and New Zealand easily winning their opening matches. It will be 6 weeks of competition before the title is decided. Now tomorrow South Africa begin their campaign against their fellow Africans Zimbabwe. Both teams are exuding confidence ahead of the tie in Hamilton. Will it be the Proteas or the Zimbabwe boys? Hello and a very warm welcome to MatchPoint, where the focus is all things African sport and beyond. I'm Mahe Mutua. Also coming up this hour, chaos, confusion and suspension. We ask what next for Egyptian football. And 25 athletes to represent Kenya at the World Cross Country Championships in Guiyang, China. Well, now let's get today's show started at the Cricket World Cup, which kicked off today. It was a good day for the co-hosts of the tournament, who each earned wins in their opening matches of the tournament. First, co-hosts New Zealand got off to a winning start with a resounding 98-run victory over Sri Lanka in the first match in Christchurch. Captain Brendan McCullum struck 65 off 49 balls as the Black Caps put on a rapid 111 for the first wicket. They eventually powered to an imposing total of 331 for 6, and in return Sri Lanka limped to 233 all out. Then Australia proved too strong for England, who won by an impressive 111 runs in Melbourne. England were dismissed for 231 as they just missed out on what would have become their heaviest World Cup defeat by runs. Now, as we mentioned there, the Cricket World Cup is now underway in Australia and New Zealand. Both those countries earned wins on day one. Now, tomorrow sees an all-Africa clash between South Africa and Zimbabwe in Hamilton. Lance Klusener was part of the Proteas side that lost to Zimbabwe back at the 1999 World Cup, but he does not see history repeating itself this time around, as Dan Williams found out.
They start as one of the favourites for the Cricket World Cup. But South Africa has a reputation of wilting in major tournaments when winning appeared the easier option. The Proteas have never won a knockout match at a World Cup, earning them the Chokers label. But that title is something they are determined to embrace and change this time round.
Yes, we're feeling pressure, and there's no hiding from that. We've never won a World Cup, and it's definitely something that's counting against us. People calling us chokers. There's no hiding from that. We just got to stick together, drive each other as a team, and make sure we win those big pressure situations and big pressure games.
Lance Klusener was part of the squad that came agonisingly close to beating Australia and reaching the final at the 1999 Cricket World Cup. He believes the front-footed approach from South Africa is the right path to take.
I think it's great, you know. I think we've got a serious chance of winning the World Cup, and I think it's made out to be more than it really is, but it's not going to go away until we win a major RCC competition. So they're just going to have to deal with it. Hopefully they've dealt with it, but it lives on because we've never really gone through and won a big trophy. So it'll only go away once we've done that.
There are a number of reasons to be optimistic this time round. Captain A.B. de Villiers is in the form of his life, having smashed the fastest ever 100 last month. While Faf du Plessis, Hashim Amla and Del Steyn would walk into any side. If that group fires, expect South Africa to go far.
My hopes are that your big players are going to come to the fore, which we haven't. You know, looking back in the history of the World Cups that we've played, you know, we haven't had our major players having great World Cups. And you know, as you go into the playoff games, if we're going in with that confident and you know with 4 or 5 man of the matches in our change room, it's going to help. But the pressure is always there, and there's no hiding from that.
If there is one area of concern in the team, it's in the all-rounder position that Klusener once filled with aplomb. But that could be the major weakness this time round.
Yeah, I think maybe concerns not necessarily over your 4 frontline bowlers, but the makeup of the 5th bowler. I think for me the key is that if those 4 frontline bowlers, probably Steyn, Morkel, Philander, Imran Tahir, if they can start getting wickets, it allows that 5th bowler to bowl with a little bit with not too much pressure.
South Africa face Zimbabwe first up, a side who go into the tournament on the back of a morale-boosting win over Sri Lanka. Klusener was part of the Proteas side that famously lost to Zimbabwe back at the 1999 Cricket World Cup, but Klusener does not expect a repeat this time round.
I'm not taking anything away from Zimbabwe, but if South Africa have got any genuine hopes of going to win the competition, I don't think we can afford a little slip-up anywhere. Because if we can't beat them really convincingly, well, then we may as well come home already.
This could be South Africa's time, but this is a side that has disappointed one too many times to be certain of that. Dan Williams, CCTV, Durban, South Africa.
Well, still on that fixture, Zimbabwe kicks off its World Cup cricket campaign on Sunday against the team that it can consider both neighbours and world heavyweights, South Africa. The game has been made all the more intriguing by the contrasting fortunes of the two teams in the warm-up games. Zimbabwe beat Sri Lanka while South Africa were humbled by co-hosts New Zealand. CCTV's Farai Mwakutuya caught up with a former Zimbabwe national team player, Dirk Viljoen, who played in the 1999 World Cup, where Zimbabwe made it through to the second round of the tournament, the only where they have been able to do so.
Do you read much into these warm-up games? Do the big teams actually take them seriously?
The warm-up game against Sri Lanka, obviously knowing that Zimbabwe's expectation of winning games is never really there. What we look at is, come on guys, let's compete. They played against a Sri Lankan side, Sri Lankan team that had all their heavies, all their big names, because it is the last warm-up game before the main showpiece. Zimbabwe then chased down 278, I think it was, and to be brutally honest, with ease. If they had bowled Sri Lanka out for 150, scraped home by 1 wicket, 9 down, and there was none of the big names, and you still look at it and go, I'm not so sure. But it was two full-strength teams, and Zimbabwe looked like a team that deserved to be at the World Cup. So I think, take two contrasts. Their first game, Sunday, it's against South Africa. South Africa play against New Zealand, got annihilated. Okay, Zimbabwe play against Sri Lanka, beat a Sri Lankan full-side team, regardless of whether Sri Lanka were there or not, it's irrelevant. Who's taking into Sunday's game the cards? Zimbabwe is, in my opinion.
What does Zimbabwe have going for it?
Well, I think going for us is not totally a new broom sweeps clean. Getting rid of Steve Mangongo, you know what, that's neither here nor there. Coaches they lose their jobs everywhere in the world. So that's not the issue. For me, I think what I like about it is the fact that Dav Watmore is just a normal guy. Okay, you have a look at his career, nothing special, all due respect to Dav Watmore's playing career. He seems to have this knack to, if a team is willing to listen to him or pull together, he can manage a side. And I think that that is what's going for us at the moment. We are the only team at the 2015 World Cup that has a coach that has won a World Cup. Not that that means we're going to win it, but from someone who's been there and done that, I'd like to think currently, this morning, or it's late in the afternoon now in the evening, that when he sits down and says, right guys, this is what you need to do at a World Cup, everyone's ears are pricked up. Yeah. They're like, let's listen to this guy. He's been there, done that.
You played in the 99 World Cup where Zimbabwe performed wonders and basically shocked the whole world. What has changed in the game between then and now, and how does that impact on Zimbabwe?
What's changed in world cricket, I think the scores of power have totally disappeared. There's power plays now. The players are able to score a lot bigger scores. I mean, I think in those days, 250, 260 was a winning score. Yeah. Now it's not even competitive anymore. So the game of cricket has evolved into a lot more runs, a lot more excitement, but I think that players have moved with that. What's changed from a Zimbabwe perspective, I think we went to the 99 World Cup where we were lucky that we had a base of players. You had this core of players that had been around the world of cricket, been there, done that for many years. So we were able to take experience to a World Cup, guys who had been competing at the highest level for an extended period of time. Zimbabwe's challenge at this World Cup is, as much as yes, those guys have played a lot of cricket, they are still young. And they didn't have the luxury that I had. I was very lucky. I went into a World Cup squad of 15, having the ability to learn from an Edo Brandis. Not so much from a batting perspective, but just the culture of cricket. And to understand what was needed mentally to be in that space and to be put on that world stage.
All right, let's go to a quick break here on MatchPoint. We'll be coming back to the Cricket World Cup a bit later on, but also coming up, We'll be taking a look at the state of football in Egypt.
He's a speedster and he's very solid indeed.
David Rudisha, 1:40.91 is shown on the clock.
Welcome back. Let's go to the CAF Champions League, where Uganda's league champions Kampala City Football Authority Football Club handed themselves a lifeline in the race to progress to the first round of the tournament. A late goal earned the Ugandan side a 1-0 win over Cameroon's Cosmos de Bafia. It was the first ever meeting between the two sides, with the visitors also making their debut in the club competition. Jean-Jacques Mbassi came closest, and the hosts too had a chance to take the lead just before the break from Tom Matsiko. Cosmos played much of the second half a man down after Nai Patrick was sent off for a second yellow card. That left KCCA to dominate the rest of the game, and they eventually broke the deadlock in the 83rd minute. Herman Waswa comfortably blasted home the winner to hand the Uganda League champions a 1-0 first leg victory. Now the two sides meet again in Cameroon in a fortnight, with the aggregate winner set to face South Africa's Orlando Pirates in the first round.
Going away with a goal is very important. It's very important because we've now got a chance. We've seen how they play, and it gives us time and room to plan.
For it, I think it's football, and we get the red card, and it's okay. For me, I don't have 1-0. Is, at home we can make it.
Now moving to North Africa, there are contradicting sentiments in Egypt over the resumption of the nation's Premier League. The government has indefinitely suspended the league after around 20 Al Zamalek fans were killed in one of the worst football riots witnessed in the country. Clubs fear the league will be cancelled, threatening them with a huge budget deficit, but some analysts say there's no cause for alarm since the clubs survived the previous suspension linked to football riots. Adel El Mahrouki has more.
It was not the first and not the deadliest. Yet last week's Al Zamalek riots tragedy still kept the authorities undecided about how to respond. The Prime Minister has already suspended the Premier League indefinitely. Unconfirmed reports say it could resume on Wednesday.
Unfortunately, there are contradicting reports from the Federation. The league will return or not, with fans or no fans. The league's return is in the hands of the Interior Ministry only. The Federation can't take any decision on that issue, so is the Sports Ministry.
Clubs are concerned about the possibility of the entire season being cancelled. No league means no income, which would make it hard to service players' payroll. Revenue from advertising agencies and sports channels could also be negatively impacted. So clubs are more inclined to have the league back without fans. But banning fans doesn't necessarily mean the trouble would be over.
No one will accept the resumption without vengeance for those killed. Without knowing those responsible, the White Knights will not allow football to return. They will try by all means to interrupt the matches and could attack stadiums.
Indeed, that appears to have been the case after the Port Said riots, which killed over 70 fans 3 years ago. Some want Egypt to follow the footsteps of other countries.
We should learn from Margaret Thatcher when she faced the hooligans at their peak in 1985, the most violent groups in the world. She took extreme measures, no football for 2 years, then they created a decent riots law that everyone respected. And today, English fans are among the best behaved in the world. As for us, after the Port Said riots, the entire season was cancelled. We all survived.
The White Knights, El Zamalek's Ultras fans, have vowed to seek vengeance for their friends. They hold security forces responsible.
Prompt judicial proceedings could end the frustration, as Al Ahli's Port Said riots trial has taken so much time and nothing has been achieved so far. In an online statement, El Zamalek's White Knights say they don't want a judge to bother himself with an investigation. They know it will not work. Instead, they will personally seek vengeance, signaling more violence if the league returns. Adel Mahroui, CCTV, Cairo.
Right now we can get more insight into this story from Egypt. Joining us live from Cairo right now is CCTV's Adel El Mahrouki. Adel, just when everybody thought Egyptian football was in the clear, getting back on track with league resumption, here comes another suspension. How costly is this to the football clubs there?
Well, it's extremely effective if it lasts longer, but so far it seems that the speculations of suspension comes from just few more days. There has been some unconfirmed reports it could be Wednesday, and in the maximum estimation it could last after March, where Egypt have a couple of milestones very important that should be proceeded first, and then after that Egypt believes it should secure the league to return after it holds the economic conference, hosting the Arab Summit and the parliament elections. All are in March. So if it's in the medium range, it should not have major effect on the clubs. But if it goes on longer, football is the main sports here in Egypt. A club, for example, like Al Ahli has income that gets to about £60 million from football, and all the other sports would bring into the club something like 7 million. So about 10% are from all the rest of the sports, and 90% of the club's income for a big club like Al Ahli is from football. The rest clubs even depend on football even more. So it depends on how long the suspension of the league will take. The longer, of course, the worse.
Now, Adel, talking about the root cause, what exactly is the root cause of the problem as far as violence in Egyptian football goes, and are the authorities there able to find ways to resolve the problem?
Well, Ultras fans, which are the fanatic football fans, whether it's the Al Ahli Ultras, the Red Devils, or the White Castle, Al Zamalek's Ultras fans, are known to be very organized, and they're quite vindictive. So when it comes to clashes with the police, they don't really care whom they're fighting, but they will carry this on and they will plan a revenge tactics in the next time. This is how it has been for quite a time, even before the January revolution. But since the 2011 revolution, and we've seen Al Ahli riots in Port Said, the deadliest in Egypt's history, things have started to get out of hand and they've become more violent. The prosecution, after investigating Al Ahli's football riots, it has suggested that the government should install metal detectors at all stadiums. It should install security camera or CCTV cameras at all stadiums, and about 9 to 12 points have been recommended, but unfortunately the government has not responded to all of these points, and when it does, it's not in all stadiums. So the government is trying to maintain security, but there is a lot of challenges for it to do so, particularly that the country is quite focused on its war on terror. We have bomb attacks that are almost on daily basis in several cities in Egypt. There is a war between the armed forces and the Sinai. So getting a major number of security troops to protect or be present during a football match is not the country's top priority at the moment.
All right, Adel, thank you very much for speaking to us here on MatchPoint. That was CCTV's Adel El Mahrouki joining us live from Cairo on the situation in Egyptian football. Now it's time for us to take another quick break here on MatchPoint, but coming right up. 25 athletes to represent Kenya at the World Cross Country Championships in Guiyang, China. Welcome back. Now, women's defending champion Emily Chebet earned a wild card to this year's World Cross Country Championships in Guiyang, China after finishing 14th during the Kenya National Championships on Saturday. Joining Chebet in the senior women's ranks is 2013 World Junior Cross Country Champion Faith Chepngetich, who will be making a senior debut at the Worlds. Celestine Karane was at the meet where 25 athletes were named to represent the cross-country powerhouse and brings us this report.
The road to representing Kenya at a World Championship in athletics isn't easy, with many athletes competing for the few available spaces. So competitive are the trials that many athletes equate them to World Championships. On Saturday, 300 athletes were present in a bid to fill the 24 available places to the World Cross Country Championships in Guiyang, China next month. The men's 12-kilometer race was hotly contested in the first few laps before Geoffrey Kipsang, Bedan Karoki and Leonard Barsoton led a breakaway. Karoki's experience showed, however, as he won the race with Kipsang in second and Barsoton in third. Moses Mukono, who was making his senior team debut after sitting his final exams, finished fourth to make the team of 6 to Guiyang.
Being in school and combining school and athletic is a big thing to do, and it's challenging. I knew I can do it because I've been having a full time with these guys, and I knew these are big boys I'm going to compete with, and so I wanted to train very hard, and I did that.
I really wanted to make it to the team, and I'm happy I have. This year, I've worked on my endurance and it's paid off. I did a lot of hill work training and speed work to help me with my finishing. So I think this time I won't come home empty-handed.
The women's race was won by former junior star Faith Chepngetich, who will be making her senior World Championships debut. Faith will be among 7 female athletes representing Kenya, including defending world champion Emily Chebet. Chebet got a wildcard after finishing 14th.
Cross country will motivate me to do well in the track season, especially since this is a world championship here on the track.
12 athletes were also named in the junior category, 6 in each division. Despite the huge turnout, cross-country running in Kenya seems to be losing its competitive nature.
It starts to go down and less money involved in the cross-country in Europe. And now that it's every 2 years, of course, they lose a bit of interest in, but I think will be a big interest in China this year.
The morale of athletics is now slowly going down. I don't know, which I think we need to sit down as the country or as the federation to see what is happening, because I remember when we were running those times, you can see people, even when they are running, you can see that teamwork. But now you see somebody this year, next year you don't see.
25 athletes were selected for the match competition, where Kenya will be defending 3 individual and 2 team titles. Changing the World Cross Country Championships from an annual to a biennial event made the competition lose some of its shine, but the team selected to represent Kenya will still be expected to maintain the stranglehold the country has on the competition. Celestine Karane, CCTV in Nairobi.
Right, as we mentioned earlier in the show, the Cricket World Cup is underway. Both Australia and New Zealand earned first-day wins. Tomorrow is a big day for Africa as Zimbabwe and South Africa kick off their campaigns. Now joining us in studio to give us more about the tournament down under is none other than a Kenyan cricket legend, former Kenya national team player Kennedy Obuya, who was part of the team that famously reached the semi-finals of the 2003 Cricket World Cup. Kennedy, thank you for joining us today. I'll begin by asking you about the match tomorrow. Zimbabwe and South Africa go head-to-head. A lot of the bets are on South Africa, obviously, to win. Do you think this will be an easy victory for the Proteas?
I think South African have got all areas covered. Their batting attack is very solid. I think Amla, De Villiers, solid batting attack. Their bowling is also covered. If you look at Dale Steyn, Philander, and Mokol, all the areas they have definitely, I think they have got to cover. But this is the World Cup. You can't rule the Zimbabweans out. They have upset. They've upset Sri Lanka.
This is the
at
big
the
stage.
moment,
Yeah.
and everybody wants to be in the World Cup. And every player plays the World Cup and wants to do something extra. So I think it may bring the best of the Zimbabweans. And I think I would not say, but still, no doubt about it, South Africa is still the favorites.
Okay, you've given advantage to South Africa. Let's touch on them. As we heard from the captain there, A.B. de Villiers was saying that this is obviously the golden generation, but they have the tag of being chokers at the big stage. Have they done what it takes to shed that tag this time around?
It's quite early to tell, but I think the choking will always stick with them. They played the first friendly, and properly South Africa really took them off the mark.
Right.
And I think it's going to be a tough one for them. For them to really do well, if you ask me, Del Steyn, Mokol and Philander has got to come in party in terms of bowling. They're betting Amla and De Villiers definitely must come into party for them really to go through. The first round, 110, I think I can bet my whole life 110%. I think they'll go on the first round. Second round is where it's going to be very tricky.
That's where they'll meet some trouble. Okay, let's talk about match fixing. The ICC have said that they're going to take this very seriously at this specific tournament. From a player's perspective, how big a problem is this vice in the sport?
It's the same thing that we call about. People talk about drugs and this drug, whatever in the
athletics
sports, in athletics. It's the same thing. It's quite disappointing that you would watch a match which you know somebody knows the outcome of it. So, but I think the ICC is really doing their best, and I think there's so much money involved now in cricket. I think the players are being paid well. So I'm not seeing it really taking a big part. If you think of tomorrow, if you're talking about bets, I think tomorrow is the biggest bet, India-Pakistan. I think it can't get bigger than that.
And probably the most watched match at the tournament.
Yes.
Finally, Kennedy, I'll ask you very briefly, who are you picking as winners of the World Cup this time around?
After watching today, I think Australia and New Zealand are very, 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 very strong. They look favorite, but don't rule out South Africa. South Africa, I think they've got all the areas, I said earlier, all the areas they have got covered. And this is World Cup. It's going to depend on how good they are and how best they perform on that particular day. But my money is between three. I can't really pick a favorite. I'm an African, so I'll go with South Africa. But I'm looking at South Africa, New Zealand, and Australia. Very, very, very tough contest.
Those are the favorites. So one of the three you say will win.
Definitely.
Kennedy Obuya, thank you very much for joining us here in studio. Well, that's it for this edition of MatchPoint. Remember, you can send your feedback to us at matchpoint@cctv.com. You can also visit our Facebook page, CCTV Africa, or stay in touch on Twitter using the handle @CCTV News Africa. Thanks for watching once again. We leave you, as always, with some images from the sporting highlights this past week.